see you again. Once in a while, we should look up at the camera. So,
Seriously.
anyway, so here we are, episode number 6.
Seriously.
So this is our 6th interview for the Sasha and Geoff show, and we'll see what we come up with today. As we said in episode number 5, we're going to go a little bit different now because this is the important thing.
The Purple Vision.
The Purple Vision written by Sasha. We will get to it in a minute. In a minute. Before we start talking about the subjects in here, which are really important, a lot of things have happened, sadly, in our country this week. Some of them incredibly funny. So, in other words, if you could remember this fantastically difficult test that Trump took, where he was able to memorize 5 insignificant words, and doctors were amazed that he could do that. So we found out that he's not completely senile, just partly. So anyway, so
would you agree that Biden would hold the same test?
I would agree that that a pet dog could have done that.
Oh, please.
Anyhow, so but getting back to this, a few terrible things have happened over this week. Now we have a private militia attacking people so far in Portland, and now they want to do it in Philadelphia and Chicago and some other places. No, but that's another story. So that's very serious. So,
I'm smiling though.
It reminds me of the famous Woody Allen film where he becomes this dictator in a South American or Central American country, and as soon as the new dictator becomes the dictator, he says, from now on everybody has to wear their underwear on the outside. And so we're almost there now. So
not quite.
But anyhow, and so that, and more importantly, as of today, they've just gotten rid of the moratorium on evictions. That is extremely serious because that means that millions and millions of people could be on the street as of this week, or they will be fighting to stay in their places. So this could be almost anarchy by itself. The next thing that's happening is that
do you have a place to disagree, or just...
Yeah. No. And then the last thing is that the unemployment situation, they're going to do away, so far, that $600 extra amount of money each week that people are getting is very, very important because that was the ability of people to pay the rent. So you should make a choice. Either leave the $600 or forgive rent. I say leave the $600. That way, at least landlords will still get paid for their rent. And anyway, that's an idea. Okay, there we have it. Now, Sasha, hey. So we've talked about that, but I want to go through the subjects in your book because we've been talking about, we've been referencing the Purple Vision over and over again throughout our interviews, and it's about time you had a chance to really go through and tell people exactly what should be done, what could be done, and how it can work. Then we can talk about later whether it's even possible to even offer views like this under the situation that we're in now. So let's start. I'm going to go to our table of...
Seriously?
I'm going to go to our table of contents.
There is a table right there.
Table of content. I've read this book, and this book is absolutely brilliant. So,
thank you.
So the one thing is that I should mention some of the subjects here, and you can explain. Like politicians only serve other politicians. That was a serious chapter because it's basically one of the great problems in this country. And then the other thing is that the radicalized media. That depends on your point of view. The left says the media is wrong. The right says the media is wrong.
That's the point of radicalization. This is the point.
The last thing is that the choice between Trump and socialism. I think that's less of a problem now because the true socialist candidates are not running for office yet. So,
but it happened like 4 years ago when Clinton came. She was like kind of in the middle, and then she needed supports from Bernie Sanders, and she says like, "Hey, free education, free this, free that." So like, and Biden will need the votes, and he's going to go far left as far as he can.
I, go ahead. Okay, I'm going to let you explain how the education ideas can work for everybody. So if we already know the extremes of what people want to do, but there's something in the middle that can actually work, and you'll have your chance to explain it in 1 second.
Thank you. I thought I'm gonna sit here and just like pretend
The next thing is that the need to inform voters, illegal immigration, the economy, healthcare, education, taxation, military spending, gun control, and climate change.
Jeffrey, can I insert something?
Now,
Yes.
yes.
This book. It should be of any president or like a agenda how any president should come to the election to like not a president but a person who trying to be elected. They should have some plan for the country. Right now, nobody has a plan. Before Clinton, love her or not, she had a plan for America. Today, I don't hear anybody like going. All the like candidates, they going like, oh, I'm gonna just reduce the taxes, or I'm gonna just do this, like little points which has nothing to do with the whole America, how we should leave the blueprints for every single America.
Let me ask you a question. How do you think the world perceives this country now and before? And how should the country be perceived in the future?
It's very the question could be this is like very very like loaded question. Before we had like we were an important country because we had like production, we had like so much going on inside of the country, so other country would depend on us. But the world is evolving, and now the production house is China and other like Europe and many other countries. They try like to produce and be independent from United States. So it wherever it goes inside of our country, it has nothing to do from outside. So like or little right now. Am I making sense?
A little bit. The other thing is that, in my opinion, the United
Who
States.
cares about your opinion? Okay.
Hopefully you do.
Okay.
But in my opinion, the one thing that has changed a little bit, I agree that things can be produced in China much cheaper than they can be produced here. But intellectual content, I think that this country is still pretty much at the top of the heap.
And why?
Because of on the top level of this company, the scientists, the educators, things like that.
Why?
Because they're on a very, very high level of thinking, research,
research,
R&D, research and development, and things like that has always been very strong in this country. But we're starting to lose it.
And why? And I will explain. And this is all in this book. Why?
Let's start with
because our country built on the capitalistic idea, and ideas that a person can be all he can or she can be. That's the whole point. We fund every bright person, every bright idea. The country is kind of works as a company, as a production house. If you want to be like if you have an idea, you can easily get the access to the money, capital, and produce your idea to make it work. If you're a brilliant person, the country, not just the country, but the institutions inside of the countries, universities, companies will pay top dollar for each brilliant man. We attract people. We attract production inside. Like we attract everything good about in the world.
So what you're saying is that this is a great commercial for venture capital.
Yes. Yes, because this is why America is great, because we pay the money, we pay the top dollar. But if you start socializing the country, we will lose lose that ability to pay and to attract people because we will curve everybody. So like the best people would look for different places to invest their time and their abilities. They will go to China, they go to Russia, they will go to different countries, not to America.
They will go to the highest bidder.
Exactly. And highest bidder always has been America. That's why Beatles came here. That's why like other like all the atomic bomb, like who built the atomic bomb?
Okay, well, we still have Tesla.
Yeah, why?
And,
Because
we still have Elon Musk, and we still have some good people here. We have some very, very rich people
for now, but
who it would be nice would think more in terms of Elon Musk and not just in terms of themselves.
for now, but even Elon Musk takes the production to China. What does it tell you about like our ability to keep the production and keep the dollars, keep the people busy, people going away from this country, not because they don't like it, because we are not competitive. So we need to make the country competitive, back competitive, and not to worry about things.
But on the other hand, aren't you sad that you didn't buy his stock 3 weeks ago?
No,
It went up over $1,000.
yeah, but I wanted like to short every time I can because this is like the stock has nothing to do with Elon Musk and the Tesla production. I mean, the stock is like the company makes 3 cents per share, and the stock is $1,500. So this is ridiculous. This is completely different subject. Go ahead.
Okay, so that was the first idea. So
Okay.
well, I mean, it's one thing that I definitely wanted to talk about. Now, you mentioned here the need for informed voters. This is really important. Go ahead.
Thank you. You see, even and who could tell like even brother of George Floyd, the murdered guy, brother said like, stop talking about Trump. And it's in the book, and the guy just said it like a month ago, or less. He says, stop talking about Trump. Trump is nobody. We have to elect people in a local government who will build up the laws and bring our ideas to the top. We have to participate. We have to educate ourselves, to 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 have a better ability to. When we vote for somebody, we have to know that person is good enough, and to know that that this person good enough, we have to have an ability to understand what they're talking about, to judge and just like bring the best people in the government. Plus, locally, when we just vote for any local laws, marijuana or like any transportation laws, anything rent control or whatnot, we're locally voting for the laws, in local laws, and then voting for the people in the government. Go ahead.
How do we elect people that will adhere to those ideals and not just the ideal of having the ability to get reelected?
It's very complicated. There are many things. But first, we have to educate ourselves. So this is number one. All the time, like it's not all the time. It's always education. Then we have to know like, what we want. We have to be realistic about what can be done. If somebody tells you like you will have free education, free healthcare, you have to ask yourself like, is it possible to have all the free things not working for? And then you say like, ask questions.
So,
And no, not you, but you have to ask questions to those electing.
okay, but now I want to ask the question to you.
Okay.
Because I agree. It basically comes down to one simple question: how do you pay for it? So now, so we already understand that if you want to have free health care, if you want to have free education, if you want to have a lot of the freebies that, of course, every socialist country either enjoys or tries to enjoy or tries to pretend that it actually works, that's a problem. But now, what is your solution? How do we get healthcare? How can a system of healthcare work for everybody and still be affordable?
Okay, so basically, healthcare is it's a vast it's just industry, and people who tell you like we can just lower the cost of the industry, they're delusional, because it's not, you cannot just it's a point by point, because cost always there are costs, and you have to just and I'm thinking how to better explain to lower the cost. You have to understand how the industry works. Now we're going through insurance, health insurance, and the insurance pays for the higher, like for the very high expensive surgeries and stuff like that. So and there let me think how to explain. So point is this: you don't have, you always as a person, you don't have money to pay for health care. Why? Because like if you need a surgery, it costs 100,000, maybe $200,000. So you cannot afford that surgery as a person, but you don't know when that surgery will happen to you. So what it means, you have to build up the fund, insurance. That's why we need the insurance. And you go like, so what how does it work? So basically you pay for the insurance like you have a car insurance. You never know when you get into the accident, and when the accident happens you don't even care, like, because you care but not like in terms of conversation. You say like, oh, I've got the insurance, and okay, I've got the insurance. The same thing when you go to the hospital and you have a coverage, you have the insurance, you don't think about how the operation, the most important operation in your life, will cost you. So what it means, we have to have the fund. So how do we build the fund of trillions and trillions of dollars?
And the answer?
And the answer is no. I will build up to this. No, because this is complicated. So you have to have a fund. Government doesn't have the money, or we have to take the money into that fund which will pay for it. And as you know, like for example, Social Security Fund, we have the Social Security Fund for retirees, but we use that fund for different things. So you cannot trust the government in this case, because they can appropriate the money in different directions. So I'm for independent, the private sector dealing with the insurance, health insurance. So basically, now we said like, okay, we understand we need the insurance to pay for our like once upon the time like high price surgeries. And then we go like, okay, so we have the insurance, but now we say like insurance costs too much per month. So now you say like, hey, we need to lower the insurance, health insurance, to be affordable. How do we do that, you ask? We need to.
How do we do that? I ask.
Yes. So you say like, okay, we need as many people as possible to participate in that fund, even healthy people, people who don't think they will be needing insurance. That's the point of the insurance. So whenever you need, it's a lottery ticket that you don't want to like win, but whenever you win that undesirable lottery ticket, the fund will pay for you. So, go ahead.
Isn't that still the basis of a properly working Obamacare?
Oh no, it's the completely opposite. This has nothing to do with what I'm talking about. Obamacare is about the brokerage. It's about the broker, the single broker that the government established, and government plays not the insurance company. It plays the broker who single kind of like.
I mean, replaced.
No, the broker. They like is going and search for you the better coverage. Obama.
Getting back to
So military. Let's finish.
yeah. This is important. Go ahead.
So military, basically on the military, let's finish it with we cannot spend that much for military. It's obsolete. We need like to reduce our military and spend to the military industry, which most effective and very vital could be. It's a space military, it's a biological military, it's internet and cyber military. Those things are important. Of course, the intelligence and stuff like that, and some of the regular military, but we don't need so much military. Period.
Okay, because it would seem that that we could cut the military spending probably by close to a third, and that's all money that can be used for things that we really need.
Thought no, but half, at least half, it will be good enough. And just Trump, like recently a week ago or something, he announced that, or he just said like, listen, I changed like all that equipment. I spent as like more as any other president for military, but we don't need change the equipment. We don't need so many tanks. Do you know that we have the most? The country we've got like most tanks than any other country. We don't have the place to use the tanks.
Yeah, but soon we'll all be able to ride around in a tank. Because
Yes.
you'll be able to get a tank much cheaper than a Hummer.
Tesla. So don't get Tesla, get the tank.
Yeah.
So and that's ridiculous. Why do we need tanks?
Okay,
and now
now-
we're replacing the tanks.
Okay,
So
that makes sense. Now, what's really important now, and which is affecting everybody, especially with COVID, what is the solution for education besides getting rid of Betsy DeVos, who's a moron?
okay, skip that comment. The problem with education is we have the best high education in the world. We bring all the brilliant professors and minds in our like universities, and everybody is talking about higher education, and nobody is talking about elementary school education, middle school, and high school education. Why is that?
Well, that's the education that I'm talking about.
Oh, you do?
Yeah,
Okay.
because the problem for university, the idea is to get people smart enough to even make it into university. Because not everybody is like Trump and can pay somebody to take their SATs. So,
All right. So and like if you look at the programs, Bernie Sanders, the guy doesn't talk about high school. He talks about people. He promised students free money, and that's how he gets votes, and that's horrible, and it's not a solution because government controls all that middle schools, elementary schools, and I'm not going to go like in details because in the book I'm going through like what needs to be done with each educational level, because the most importantly we have to support elementary and middle schools and high school. We need like to bring people, not just more pupils, not more education, but we have to structure them. We have to help parents give credits for putting kids into the programs. Like for example, if it's a soccer club. So if you have a soccer club,
that was soccer, as in European football.
Yes.
Not soccer.
I apologize. Yeah. So basically, what you're gonna have, let people write off some of the cost for spending for educating our own kids. So then the beauty of the taxation and the government influence by providing rebates and credits on your taxes, so you can you bring your kid to learn musical instruments, sports, and you get credits for that. So you influence, you encourage to do that. Today we don't have that programs. In the book I'm putting like in details what we need to do and how it will even increase the people who working as self-employed as a soccer teacher, and if it's a business, so people who bring their kids to a coach, that the guy would get paid, he has to report the 1099s involved, and we get money as a country. We have credits to the people who bring their kids to summer camps, to after school programs. We have to encourage the education on the lower level. Stop talking about higher level.
Okay,
Get off Bernie Sanders
My-
from the.
My question is this, because obviously, everybody talks, when people talk about education, they talk about science, they talk about mathematics, they talk about physics. But to develop industries in this country, in fact anywhere, that actually produce things, you need technical people. You need technical people who can handle machinery, who can handle, all of the educational ideas that make commerce work.
So basically with this, and basically I'm just start using this. With this, what happens, like you don't need to like people to go to 4 years college or university. You build, and it's already exist.
Technical
Schools, and specifically for if it's a blue collar workers, they need to educate themselves to work with the machinery which uses computers, and so people will just adjust themselves and go to a different level of the jobs, and this is
Okay, let me ask you another question.
Thank you.
Because right now we're dealing with this horrible pandemic and the results of this pandemic, and the nature of education has to change, at least temporarily, until this pandemic can be controlled. That's a whole nother issue. But so all of a sudden, for the first time,
Classes.
online interaction now is taking on a much more important situation now, because people can't go to class. They can't, because of social distancing and wearing masks and everything else, protecting teachers, protecting school workers. But all of a sudden, the online industry offers an opportunity where the whole nature of education could change drastically, where people in the future will not be going to brick and mortar buildings to learn. They'll be able to do this in their own residence, and probably get a much better education in many cases, because when you're working online, there's almost more personalized education than if you're working in a class and being ignored.
Is there any questions here?
That was the question. Do you see education changing toward an online?
It's very complicated because like to change education the way we educate our kids, and we're talking about kids because mostly because that's what we are concerned. We should be concerned as a nation about educating our kids. That's how we change the country in a good way, in a better way. But kids cannot stay at home because education they cannot be alone at home, because when you bring a kid to an establishment like school or whatnot, you go in as a parent, you do things, you do chores, you do work, and now
Parent-teacher organizations,
yeah, but if you don't bring the kid someplace else, you have to be at home with your kid, and I don't think that many people can do that unless there could be like the solution could be that form the local community places locally for kids to like be in at the computers locally, but I don't see that it the changes in the industry because not every parent and most of the parents cannot be with kids in, at the house, at the apartments.
Anyway, well, this is a whole nother industry that could possibly be informed and maybe created and adapted to the situation that we have now. The next thing, which is very very important, is we were talking about how do you pay for it? How do you pay for this? How do you pay for that? How does taxation work equitably for everybody?
This is a loaded question, Jeffrey.
Yeah, but that's important
Yeah,
because
but
we're talking about all these things. But like we all complained that Biden came up with this idea. Oh, 28% tax. We all agree that that's a little bit ludicrous. On the other
it's
hand,
ludicrous by itself.
how do we get the government to be able to pay for itself without losing
That's a great
huge gobs of money each year?
what you're talking about. How do we balance the budget? So how do we make sense of what is going on? So that's a very important question, because we have to, as a nation, we have to understand, like as a company, as the any family and companies, they do budgets. They think, okay, can we go like to vacation this year? No, we can't because we don't have money. But our government seems to have money for everything. Like we need like expenditure in military. Here we go. We need like issue extra checks. Here we go. Like it's everything. We just deepen into the credit cards, and our like expenses on interest expense for paying on the national debt. It could be like about from 5 to 700 billion a year. This is almost, it's going to be almost the same as much as we pay for military a year.
So we default.
Yes, and we default, and America is that what we have, our currency is the trust of the whole world in our financial ability to pay for our debts. If we cannot sustain that ability, nobody will work with us, and the like real estate in the Beverly Hills will be worth as much as real estate in Tijuana or someplace else. So why would people be interested in have like places in any place in America rather just go to Mexico, which is also a very beautiful country?
But the tequila is better in Mexico.
Okay. So how to balance the budget? It's a loaded question. There is no answer to it. You have to go. You have to just go each segment and see what we can do with every segment, every industry
Okay.
that we have.
Now, it also seems to me that the government, especially now, has come to this incredible conclusion that it's not necessary to balance the budget.
Exactly, because now, like you see, if you dip one time and second time and third time, now like it used to be like if we dip like for $50 billion, it's like everybody's screaming murder. Now like we dip in every time trillions of dollars and nobody cares anymore. It's like we have no the pain level already is not there, and that's it. So
Okay.
so like there is no responsibility from either party, because we like put like our people on drugs as far as giving us money.
Okay. The last question. Well, actually, there's two questions.
Okay.
There's two questions from the book that I would like to discuss also. I don't know if we have time. One is the economy, and the second is immigration, because Trump is trying to run imaginally. No one can figure out why, but on immigration, I think very few people in reality are worried about immigration at this particular moment in time. Right now, people are more worried about survival with this pandemic going on, and that immigration, the most important thing about immigration probably is to make sure that any immigrants that are in this country are not helping develop this virus all over the place. So, and then the other part for the economy, how to get the economy to work in a pandemic, in a country where the leadership is destroying the economy by itself. Everybody has this fantasy that the only thing that's going to save this country is the stock market, and the stock market is a fantasy.
So I mean, illegal immigration, immigration. You see, it's two things. So like you have to define what's a question. Is it question about immigration or it's about illegal immigration?
Well, here's what they make a big thing about on television, and that I'm even talking with certain friends of mine. They say yes, but supposedly Biden and many people they want open borders, which is absolutely not true. I don't believe anybody wants open borders. What they want are borders working correctly. If you want to come to the country, you have to go to the border. You have to apply for your reason to come into the country, whether it's for education, whether it's for work, or whether it's for tourism. But you still come in legally at the border. But what's going on now is to single out certain societies from coming here, whether it's Muslim or Mexican or Indian or whatever it is, just because
Of the ethnicity or some kind of
yeah,
country.
yeah, yeah.
No, this is
This
ridiculous.
can't work.
Yeah, but this is ridiculous. And Trump came with this 7 countries ban, and he's making so many crazy stuff, which we go into a different direction with the immigration, and it just like we can talk hours and hours. It just it's totally different. We have to make single laws for everybody, and just we cannot discriminate against the nation or against any country based on wherever like somebody gets in his or her mind.
Okay, so to sort of wind down to current events, I want to go back again and tell everybody, if you can, it's not long, it's not a big book, but there's so much information packed into this small volume that do
Yeah, please.
check out the Purple Vision, and then we'd be curious to have your opinions, like everything that you agree with or things that you might disagree with. But this is there's a very great expression, and it's called food for thought. This is absolutely food for thought. The next thing, getting back to current events today, this has been a fascinating week. We were arguing about this stuff before we went on camera. Is that a lot of things are happening today. For instance, today, the Republicans decided to take a vacation until Monday. They should have been in town working, if anything, because the eviction moratorium is about to destroy the lives of millions and millions of families in this country at the worst time that an eviction could ever take place, because you don't want infected people being evicted from their houses in the middle of a pandemic. That's the first thing. The second thing is that the unemployment situation is horrible. Last week, another 1.6 million people, applied for unemployment. Right now, I believe they say it's close to 40 million people in this country are unemployed for one reason or another, and everything's related. If the people can't pay their rents and there's no eviction moratorium, they're going to get evicted. If we get the unemployment insurance and things like that, at least people can pay the rents, can pay enough expenses until some control ever gets accomplished in the face of this pandemic. So it's basically, if you do this, you can do this. If you don't do this, then this will be bad and that will be bad. What do we do?
Should I answer this question?
Yeah.
First of all, evict or not evict, it's not Shakespeare the question, to be or not to be, because like you as a country, what you tell to a landlord, so it's not your property. It suddenly became the national property, where the government tell you what to do with your own property. So I don't think it should be like thought through, because some of the landlords, they live out of their rent, and there are people who earn their money all their life, and care is trying to replace all the brokers and say, like, come to me, I'm your single broker that you can find. I will find for you the best coverage. And they go to the different companies, and they will kind of like bring negotiate the pricing for you. That's your Obamacare.
Yeah, but so in other words, Obamacare is replacing the broker. He's still a broker, though.
Yeah, but it's a government. What happens also another? Yeah, it's replacing, but like, isn't? Do you think like a government should be playing a broker, and what's the point of this? And I tell you, let me explain the different side of Obamacare, which is very smart actually. But you see, it's how you play the cards. Sometimes you have bad cards and you play bad cards too. So Obamacare is actually very smart because it's being attached to the income taxes. And this is like when Biden talks about Obamacare and fixing Obamacare, he's on something. He is doing it badly because he doesn't understand what to do, but at least he understands that this is a starting point we can build on. So let me say, Obamacare, what it does, it, like, whenever you have income tax return, it trues up your ability to pay with the income tax. So it trues up like your ability, and it sponsors you or provides you rebates, kind of like, for your ability to pay for your health coverage. So if you're in a poverty level, it understands and gives you like kind of like credits. Thank you. So that's a good part of Obamacare, but it puts many restrictions, and it doesn't work well. But the problem is this: it doesn't lower the production, the cost of the industry. It doesn't deal with the industry problems. It's the wrong idea of that Obamacare is like, hey, because we have a single broker which can negotiate the price, it will reduce your costs. No, it will not reduce your costs because the costs are there.
Okay, let me ask you a question. So how do you set up a system or an institution that can reduce the cost of healthcare for the healthcare industry? Not for the consumers, but for the industry
It's
itself.
right in the book.
Tell us.
Thank you.
Tell us the answer.
Okay, the answer is this. Like in a auto industry, we have like a liability coverage. This is a mandatory coverage. So everybody has to pitch in for that liability coverage. So then when you buy extras, it inexpensive because everybody pays for liability for the emergency coverage. So in the core of the in my book, how to resolve all issue with the medical health care, the core is to fund that
The absolute necessary healthcare.
yes, the emergency, and so basically what we have to do, we have to put like 2% or maybe 1% or 3% on the payroll as a tax for minimum coverage. Very necessary. What will it will do? It will provide the basis.
So in other words, you're telling me that Obamacare will pay for a condom, but it will not pay for castration.
Not now, but very soon. So basically, when you have that bottom line paid off, people, because because so many people right now using the hospitals emergency care. They walk in, they get the emergency care, and nobody pitch in for that insurance that I told you, because insurance premium will cost you less if everybody participate. On the top of that, if you take like from the payroll, and people thinking, oh my God, it will kill all the minorities, it will kill all the people like in a poverty level. No, it will not. So basically, if you get like, let's say 2,000 a month, multiply by 2%, that it will be charged. It's $40, and employer will pay $40 too for the privilege or right to walk into the emergency and say like, I need a complete health care. But if you take from everybody a little bit, you will first, the hospitals will not overcharge you when you have the insurance and you pay for the services. They already will be funded by that minimum payments.
Okay, that's a good idea.
Thank you.
Let's go on. Let's go on to another subject now, because one of the things that's definitely happening now, which I think is completely unnecessary, and sadly because of this administration, is that a good percentage of your tax dollar, instead of going to all the departments where we really need help, like education and infrastructure and things like that, it's all being spent on the military. How can we control military spending and increase spending, or at least allocate funds to where they have to go in terms of education and in terms of the economy, and then after that you can explain how taxation can work fairly to bring in enough income for the country that everything can be paid for.
Let's stay in the military. I talked to Tulsi Gabbard a little bit. Not that I talked, I just walked to her. But she's, and I listened to her, I should have said, I listened to her like on town hall meetings. I saw her twice. She's the candidate who actually made sense on the military, because she's been in military 17 or 18 years herself. And she says like, listen, what are we doing there? Let's get all our troops back home. There is no point for military in the regions that we are not have any interest. What but she didn't bring it home. The idea, she needed like to have the meaning why we have to bring military home. What military do we need? And I just like some of the like in our conversations, there was a joke like right now the COVID-19, and we cannot defend that, and we have the best military in the world, and we cannot defend ourselves from the infection. So how you see we're in a different world right now, and
Okay, I understand what you're saying. However, every place that we abandon with our military, then Russia walks in or China walks in. How do we?
Because like we have to understand what's going on. We are not. The idea that we must be there because China or Russia or somebody will walk in, this is absurd. Because why would we care if Russia, and it's in the book, like if somebody pays us to be there, we say, okay, no problem. We will lend our military, not people, but our equipment, or support, like air support, or
you know what it reminds me of. There was during the original Afghanistan war, which was a great thing for America, because basically Russia was stuck in Afghanistan, and America did everything they could to make sure that they remained stuck in Afghanistan. So it was a huge loss in not only personnel, but in terms of revenue and everything else for Russia. And then stupidly, later on, then all of a sudden, Russia finally figured out that they got to get out of that place. They got out, and now America's stuck there. And we're in the same position that Russia was in at the beginning. So how do we get out? Or that's almost a recipe for saying, well, if you get out, then somebody else is going to get stuck with that cancer. Maybe that's the question.
That's not a cancer. Afghanistan is a country, and this country, like if any military general of United States of America had any brain, any they have to understand Afghanistan never, as a country, ever was conquered. Jeffrey?
No, I thought I heard something in the room there.
No worries, it's not Afghanian people. so, so if you have any brains, you have to understand the country has no centralized government. You cannot conquer that country. You have
tribal.
to. Huh?
It's
Yeah,
tribal.
but it's like one. Some people like in one village in mountains, and it's hard to control it. And why? What's the point for us to control that place? What our how to say? What's our agenda to be there? People growing not marijuana, they growing poppy seeds and opium. So they're happy, and we come in and we say okay, let's build a factory. We will put McDonald's there. They don't need McDonald's. They don't need factories. What's our agenda to be in Afghanistan? In Russia, the same thing. Soviet Union, not Russia. They've been there. They've been in Afghanistan. America was in Pakistan. We went to Afghanistan. Russia went to Pakistan. It's a polygon of Russia and America battle. It's just crazy. We don't need it. We have to just get out. But if, for example, the question always oh, we cannot leave the vacuum after us. Okay, you talk to people who local there who needs us, and you say, listen, we can be here, pay us. Pay us for being here. Otherwise, we cannot be here unless you paying us. That's it. If you now Trump does some stupid stuff, for example, and you like to hear it, right? So we're pulling out from Germany. Germany is a good base. Germany is in the middle of Europe. We need that base. We need to have some agreement for any strategical things. We need that base in Germany. Also, but we need to talk to European countries and say, listen, if we have to be paid for supporting you. Most of the European countries, they don't have enough military to defend themselves. They rely on our bases not to be attacked and kind of protect them. We don't need that. Plus, we're spending for military about $900 billion. Obsolete, because right now we have to invest potentially with the space military, not space, but
Space Force.
Space, on the level of satellites and on different level. The biological weaponry. Look, people can bring biological weapon inside of the country and cannot defend ourselves. Look at the COVID-19. So what's the point of having the ships in a sea? What are we doing with all of this? My opinion is we need to switch for financial military, being a financially savvy country to press countries and our views with the financial side, not the military side.
This I agree. I think that instead of America coming in with the military and using the military as a weapon, I think the biggest weapon that this country has is our economic weapon.
Absolutely.
We technically have the ability to feed the world. We have the ability to educate the world. We have the ability to actually improve the world if we could get various various countries to a point where they see, we don't want guns, we want teachers. We don't want this, we want factories. We don't want this, we want food. We want the ability to grow our own
And
food.
Jeffrey, let me ask you like a question. Why do we cannot fix inside? We have poverty in our cities. We have so much things to do inside of our country. Why do we go with full military strike support in Afghanistan, Iran, Iraq, wherever the country, and we cannot fix inside, and we tell other we tell other people what to do instead of do things inside.
But then there's the other side of the coin where we're protecting supposedly ourselves and our representative world against nuclear weapons, against biological warfare, against now what's even more important, artificial intelligence warfare, because the truth of the matter is we don't need guns to destroy a country. They're coming out with electronic weapons that can completely close a country down. They exist. This is not fantasy.
I agree, but again, this is, I think it's a delusional to think that we somehow can, with military strikes or presence, somehow preclude the other country not to develop the nuclear weapon. And then seniority level in life, they live from the renting the housing, and then suddenly the government says you cannot collect the rent. So what do they do? So it's not a simple solution.
But that's where the unemployment comes into that is a benefit, because then the rents can get paid. So granted, it's bad from this side, it's bad from this side, but it's less bad from this side.
Yeah, but again, the government makes decisions, and decisions has to be well thought through, because you cannot make a decision on the expense of the people, category of people, to benefit the other category of people. So you have to potentially, if one industry people cannot work in that industry, and there is no visibility for that industry to be working, like you're a musician and you cannot work. So how many months do we put you on that unemployment? Year, 2 years?
A lot. The whole.
Is it the government job
But
to put you
It's the government's job to fix everything so that everybody can go back to work. And they can't fix everything to go back to work if, in the case of this government, every day is another cock and bull story from the president or from the various sectors of the Congress. Right now, people were getting this extra $600 a month, but it's not the whole country getting it. It's just the people.
Not $600 a week.
I'm sorry, $600 a week. But
it's a huge money.
It's a huge money, but on the other hand, it's keeping the country working in the face of a horrible. No, keeping the country working. I'm not talking about people actually working, but keeping the country open and working in the face of a horrible pandemic.
Can I insert here?
Yeah.
The point is this: you given 600. It's 6 by 425. It's about $2,500 a month. Some people never worked for that much money. For example. And then suddenly you pay that. It's not 600. There is something on the top. It's about 15. As I saw people's paperwork, it's about $1,500 every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So it's about 3,000 a month. And then how much time do you provide that much money? And the answer is you can't. You cannot provide. So you have to balance with work. For example, if you're a musician, the government job is to find the way to use you that you can produce something. Because if you're a musician and you say, listen, I'm a musician, I'm not gonna deliver the food, and that's what we were talking about. I'm not gonna work as an Uber driver. I'm not gonna do, because I'm a musician. Okay, so we will pay you like 3,000 a month just because you're a musician and you have to sit at home. Is it fair for a Amazon driver delivering food to you while you're sitting at home and collecting that much money? Yes, I don't think it's fair. So it has to be.
It depends. Every case is unique. For instance,
You're the case. You're unique
I'm the
case.
case. But what am I doing with my time? I'm not just sitting home watching television. I'm repairing instruments. I'm working on things. That's so that when the economy, when my clients can actually become available, can actually purchase things from me, everything will be ready to sell to them. It's not a complete waste of time.
For you,
A lot of people are getting educated online. They're looking for other possible jobs or possible industries that might be appropriate for them in the future because their own industry is failing. There's good and bad. Some people are taking advantage of this job, and other people, like you say, are taking advantage of the free money. So,
but let me just explain the whole point. Like if you just in any other time applying for unemployment, if you say that you are educating yourself while you're unemployment, that you will be disqualified from the unemployment payments. The whole unemployment payment is for you to buy the time to find a job. If you educating or if you're producing some goods, return the money because you're doing the work. Potentially you will sell it.
but here's the question: when obviously, I'm in the entertainment industry.
This obviously.
This is hopefully entertainment, although we definitely don't get paid for this. But
Not yet.
But the problem now is that every musician, for the most part, is out of work. Every music teacher, for the most part, are out of work, except for a few people who are able to teach their instruments or how to play a violin or a saxophone or whatever online. And then you have to hope that you will get paid. Thank God for Zella. So, but there's the Hollywood Bowl has been canceled. All the theaters are closed. All the sporting events are closed. How is it possible that in the case of the athletes of these big sporting franchises, these people are still making millions and millions of dollars?
No, they're not.
And some of them are.
What happens? They renegotiate the fees.
Yeah.
So that's all about. Everything will be changing. But the point, like for you, like as a musician, you have to say to yourself, as a musician, I don't know many musicians, and I do taxes for many, that they making enough money, like to not enough, but for a good life. They don't have much money unless they in a special symphony or orchestra. If they're not well-known musicians, they making very it's low level paid, like a minimum paid job. So now there's no minimum paid jobs even now. So you have to think about as a musician, hey, what other alternative to earn money? And it's horrible to say, hey, do something else, because like who are you to tell people what to do? But from the other side, like when we talked about the industry, like with the aluminium industry, like big ticket items, and those like those industry are going away to China, and we say like to people, you have to educate yourself to do something else. Now it this comes to the different segment, different industry, musicians, entertainers.
Okay, well, this is a subject that we'll definitely have to touch on our next session.
Yeah.
So because there's only so much that we can get done today. The last thing is of course, if we want to get something in there today, some of the decisions that, or the indecisions being made, for good or for worse. The Senate just took a vacation right in the middle of this, and they're not getting anything done. The Democrats, good or bad, came up with a plan that can actually help us at least get through the worst of the pandemic. And they put this stuff on the table a month ago, and the Senate just
Is it more money?
Well, it's more. It's not only more money. It's ways to fix the various systems, and money toward education, money toward the various systems that need to be need to be held. But what did they do? As usual, the Republicans with Mitch McConnell just take the whole plan, throw it on the floor, and ignore it. So nothing gets done. Just as almost nothing has gotten done over the last 3 years. The only thing that Trump has been able to accomplish, if you can call it an accomplishment, is he cut out every kind of educational support. He's cut out. He's come up with all kinds of things that really are not important for most of our lives. Everything has a consequence. You come down on immigration. So what happens? The food on the field starts rotting away because there's nobody to pick the crops because we brought these people in from other countries.
Jeffrey,
so it's terrible.
Let's talk about let's finish this, but with some idea. I agree that with Trump, our government became is a kitchen conversation, kitchen sink, like throwing at each other. It's dysfunctional, and we're talking about Trump, what Trump said, what he didn't say. Who cares what Trump says? What are we doing with the country? What kind of laws we are passing?
Well, he's doing very well. I mean, let's say he's trying to pressure.
But
he's trying to pressure the British Open to take place at his golf course in Scotland.
Yeah, please. But the point is, it's like we have to just separate ourselves for entertainment. As a government, it's not entertainment industry, and it's entertainment on our lives. We have to just get this show off, and that's why I will vote for Biden, even though I don't like the guy, but at least the show has to go from the town. It has to leave the town now. and we have to educate, read the book, educate yourself, and bring good people to the local government and stuff.
That is everything. So if you're listening to us, this is the important thing. We need a reset. We need to get these clowns out of office, not just out of the White House, but out of Congress, out of the Senate, out of local governments, and bring in some competent, qualified people, fix some of the problems that are going on. This Black Lives Matter thing, there's a good reason for it. That can be fixed. We have to make sure that this country becomes really a free country for people of any race and any color and any nationality. This country has to work for everybody. It can't just work for a small section of
and the
white
basis
America.
is there. The basis for the country is there. Constitution and all the amendments. Everything is there to make this country feeling good in this country. With this rhetoric, hate-rich speeches, idiotic stuff on the top. This show has to go away from the town.
Okay. Sounds like a good thing. Again, ladies and gentlemen, read The Purple Vision.
Like this.
Read The Purple Vision.
Thank you.
It's a starting point. If we start from here, we might survive all of this. Take care. Bye-bye.